Happy Inspiration Day. My name is Lennox Cornwall. I'm the author of the international best-selling book, Embracing Failure, Your Key to Success. Today I want to talk to you about faith. Now it's faith in a word that you probably have never considered before. For me, faith is an acronym that stands for feelings accepted in the heart. Now the heart is what the ancients used as a term to describe what we now call the subconscious or unconscious mind. What's going on in your subconscious mind, you've probably heard this before, absolutely rules what's going on in your life. So the circumstances of your life are more to do with what's going on in your life that you're unaware of subconsciously than the conscious decisions that you're making. The key is to have some harmony between what's going on decision-wise, conscious decision-wise, and what's in your subconscious mind. Now, faith, feelings accepted in the heart, explains several things. The first one is why we self-sabotage, okay? Those feelings accepted in the heart, if they're inconsistent with our conscious thinking, will allow us to self-sabotage time and again. Faith also explains why good things happen to bad people and why bad things happen to good people. It's not a matter of how good or bad you are when it comes to achieving results. It's about what's going on inside. Now, another thing that it explains is why you can go from rags to riches and back to rags again. And also, while the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. All of these things are explained by this simple acronym FAITH, feelings accepted in the heart. Now, to explain this further, I want to use an analogy. It's an analogy of a country, whichever country that may be, that uses the system of government known as the separation of powers. And there are three powers: the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. Now, the judiciary determines whether a law is legal or whether somebody has broken a law. The legislature actually determines decisions. It makes decisions. So Congress in the United States, for example, or Parliament in England, or Britain, let me say, would make decisions. And those decisions are carried out by the executive. So, for example, the police are there to enforce the law. That would be part of the executive. Now, these branches are kept separate so that a system is kept honest, if I can put it in that way. Now, the reason I talk about this is that you as an individual also have a separation of powers. You've got your spiritual side, your mind side, and then of course you've got your body. So body, mind, and spirit. Now let me go back to government to give you an example of how it works, you know, on a governmental level, on a country level. So let's say that today your government decides that whatever side of the road you drive on, midnight tonight, you're going to have to start driving on the other side of the road. You can imagine the confusion this may cause. No one's been used to driving on that side of the road, and all of a sudden, with a day's notice, you're driving on the other side of the road. Let's say that you're responsible for an accident that's caused due to this new law. And you are then taken by the executive, the police, to the judiciary, the law courts. And you're found guilty. If you're found guilty, you're going to be fined, you may be put in prison, whatever the determination is of the legal system. Now, you also have the opportunity to argue your case. And if you win your case, the judiciary can rule that that law that was made was unconstitutional. Now, the reason I wanted to use this analogy is to show you that you are exactly the same in a sense. So your spiritual side is the judiciary. Your mind side is the legislature. It makes the decisions. And your bodily function, your bodily self, as it were, actually carries out those decisions. So you have to do things in the world and you use your body to do them. Now, if there is not harmony between those three branches of who you are, mayhem is going to ensue. You will start self-sabotaging. You will go from riches to rags and so on and so forth, okay? Bad things will happen to you. So let's see how we can actually create harmony. Now, let's say that you decide after 20 years of a successful corporate career, you want to set up your own business. Well, that's going to be in disharmony with what's going on in your subconscious, because what your subconscious has been used to is you being a very successful corporate executive, for example. And all of a sudden you're saying, hang on a second, I don't want to do that anymore, I want to be a business person. So you set up in business, and unless you can persuade the judiciary, your subconscious, to actually believe that what you're doing is right for your constitution, your entire being, you're going to self-sabotage. So the trick is to get the judiciary to agree with the decisions that you make consciously and the actions that you're taking in the real world. How do we do that? Well, I'm going to share with you 4 what I call spiritual practices to make that happen. Now, these are not the only 4 spiritual practices out there. There are many, but these 4 I found very helpful for myself and also with clients. Now, the first one is meditation. I found meditation to be the most powerful thing I do on a daily basis for myself. It's probably the most powerful thing I do for the world, because it changes who I am, it makes me a better person, and therefore the world is a better person as a result, from my perspective at least. Anyway, so meditation is really about stilling the body and quieting the mind, and unless you can do that, you will never receive those beautiful gems that surface to the conscious mind to let you know whether what's going on in your subconscious is helping or hindering you. If you find something that's hindering you surface, obviously you want to start taking actions and conscious decisions to change that. Or if you're finding that it's helping you, what surfacing is helping, you want to leverage that. So unless you can actually have those things surfacing, you'll never know. You continue doing what you're doing and getting the results you're getting. Another thing that I love to do is journal. I found it extremely helpful. And now when you journal, this is not something that you do for 2 days or a week. You're going to do it for a long period of time. As far as I'm concerned, I'm committed to journaling for the rest of my life. Let me give you an example of how it's helped me. Now, my book, Embracing Failure, Your Key to Success, didn't start out in my mind as an idea I wanted to create a book from. I simply started journaling to understand a massive business failure I had back in the UK. It was my first business experience and it was a massive failure. I lost everything. Now, I share that because I started journaling to understand what went wrong and how I could make it never happen again, because even though I had failed in business, I knew that I could never go back to the corporate world. I had to succeed in business in some form. So the journaling was for me to understand what went wrong and how I could put it right. However, one day I read over my notes and I was like, where is this coming from? It was amazing stuff. I said, I've got to share this with the world. It was literally a manual of how you can overcome failure and then succeed as a result. And in a nutshell, failure for me is a fruitful and informative lesson urging renewed effort. You can see that I love an acronym, right? Anyway, that was one phenomenal use of journaling for me. So I highly recommend it to my clients. I'm highly recommending it to you. A third thing you can do is to watch what's coming out of your mouth. Now, I don't necessarily mean bad language. I don't like bad language, but if you use bad language, fair enough. What I'm trying to say is if what's coming out of your mouth is negative, that's a huge indication as to what's going on inside. If it's hugely positive, that's another indication as to what's going on inside. And of course, you want a lot more positive than negative. If it's negative stuff, again, you're tracking it. You're able to say, this is what's inside of me, and then make some decisions to change it. I believe that knowing something is 90% of the ability to do something about it. The other 10% is actually doing something about it. So journaling, meditation, and keeping a track of what's coming out of your mouth are ways that you can actually know what's going on and then go that extra 10% by taking actions to change. Now, the fourth thing is something that you may already be doing. It's literally creating a very powerful statement about who you are. Now, for example, mine is to do with my writing, and most people call these affirmations. That's fine. Doesn't matter what you call it, it's how effective it is. So one of my affirmations when I wrote the book Embracing Failure, Your Key to Success was that I'm an international best-selling author speaking in public all over the world. My work is available through multiple media on a continuous basis and raises the conscious awareness of millions of people around the world. And I find that that's exactly what's happening right now. Hence, this video is a means of my work being transmitted through a medium. Now, that's all the time I've got for this. I would urge you to review what I said in this short video, because I've tried to cram quite a bit into a very short space of time. And as they say, repetition, some people call it the mother of success. But I know that repetition is the key to learning. It's a key to making change. So I'd urge you to actually look at this video several times over. Again, my name is Lennox Cornwall. I'm the international bestseller of Embracing Failure, Your Key to Success. Happy Winspiration Day. Make it a great day. Make it a great life.